Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I am drawing in my planner. This is the Hibini, and I believe it might be sold out at this point, but it's the Tomoe River paper, the latest Sanzen version. I'm going to be using the Rot Ring Isograph, the 0.3, and I have been on a primate kick lately, so I'm going to be drawing my best attempt at a primate. I will link, I guess, some things if there are some primates you've never drawn that might be of interest to you. I'm going to start with the eyes just because I think eyes are engaging. But I wanted to talk today about like mood and where you're at and how that affects your art. Maybe it's how often you create. Maybe it's what you create. Maybe it's just how long it takes you to come up with an idea, or how long it takes to execute what you're trying to do. Mood is such a powerful factor when it comes to so many things in our life, and when it comes to art, whether art be, you know, your job, your side hustle, just a hobby you really, really enjoy. I need a lot of eye shine here, so I'm doing lots of little I don't know, just stay with me and eventually it will turn into something, hopefully. But yeah, so all the different things that can affect our moods when we don't realize it, like stress and health and things going on at work or school or friend life, family life, the weather. That's one that like people just don't talk about as much. Like people talk about, you know, not getting enough sunshine and stuff in the winter months, but just in general, weather can have such a huge effect on mood. I currently don't want to be indoors right now. I want to be outside because of our weather. However, my face, allergies, disagrees with me completely and says we should be hiding inside. I apologize for all the cars. I should be hiding inside because it wants to breathe. My face wants to breathe. But yeah, it can be such a huge factor as to creating versus just workshopping ideas versus purchasing things and just going out and trying to figure out just how we feel, like recognizing some of that stuff. I thought about different ways folks could sort of document their feelings and start charting how that affects art. And there's a ton of different things you can do. Like one, you could have a journal of feelings and where you're at with your moods, as it pertains to different stressors and things going on in your life. There are there used to be like a rating quiz thing. This was forever ago, about things that are highly stressful, like moving, divorce, things like that can be really significant stressors that people just, because these topics are like talked about a lot, like people are sort of desensitized to it. But as for the people going through it, moving and divorce can be extremely stressful. And that can affect art and everything in your life. So having a planner or doing it digitally on your phone through like your calendar or your notes app, or if you do a digital planner, there are some of those. I'm not familiar with those at all, but I know they exist. My husband's a digital planner dude, so. Even like in your sketchbooks, if you date your sketchbooks and start writing down like when you start, your start date and end date, like in one of the front leaf pages or inside the front cover, you could even put down like the different months. Like if it takes you 9 months to fill one of your sketchbooks, what you're thinking and going through in those 9 months. And see what things look like. You could even date every illustration you do and see if it's something where you do dark, moody colors when you're in a somber mood. You know, maybe you've been melancholy. Maybe there's a loss in your family, and that's starting to shape how you create and how often you create. And start paying attention to some of these things and see if there are some things that could be done differently. There are definitely articles and there's people you can talk to about your mood and your feelings and all this stuff. But just sort of keeping track of it. You know, there are mood trackers, but if you're not in the mood to keep up with a mood tracker, and the irony isn't lost on me, but like that's a thing I'm sure exists in the world, just making some notes where you're at, where you're sketching with some things that you can check back in with yourself and start to see larger patterns within your creations. And that will start helping you with artist block. You know, if you don't know what to draw, if you're having trouble with motivation, especially when it comes to hobbies and different challenges and things you're doing with your art. I've refilled this pen twice now, just in case you're wondering where I'm at with that. But there are ways to sort of figure out where you're at without stressing yourself out about it too much. Sort of just real loose check-ins and dates. And then you can see through your art, you can see as you create, as you go through things, what's starting to speak to you, what things are emerging. Maybe every time you get off of texting with someone or phoning or FaceTiming or Zooming with certain people, your art looks a little different, you know? There's something to that, and maybe that's a good something, and maybe it's not. And all these things can be checked in on to see why the art is changing, or maybe not progressing, or there just isn't, you're just not creating like you want to be right now. And maybe you haven't checked in with yourself as to why, and figuring out all the different things that can stress and detract from creating is a really good method of problem solving with your art and with what you're creating and what you're doing, and looking at your goals and figuring out, you know, where are we? March? We're a fourth into the year. Are you a fourth into your goals? Have you broken down your goals or your resolutions or some of the things you want to do into smaller, manageable chunks? And what's that supposed to look like by March? And if it looks too overwhelming and too difficult, break it down even smaller. Starting to see eyeballs, right? Is it just me? It could just be me. I don't know. We never know. This one's going to take a while. This is definitely going to be an illustration that takes me over an hour, just because I'm using such a fine tipped pen. So like, mitigate expectations. I won't be able to finish this on the video, but I will get a start, and maybe you can see which primate I'm drawing. Hashtag mustache goals. I'll throw up a picture. It's a tamarin. Oh. Some primates are super fun to draw. Anyway, that's what I'm talking about today. Mood and feelings, and trying to figure out, you know, artist block. You know, artist burnout is something that, and I've done a video specifically about artist block and artist burnout. I will link those two in the description box, because I think all of us from time to time need to take a step back, need to understand when we feel overwhelmed. The pandemic was very overwhelming for me personally. Like, I can cite my specific examples in my life. The pandemic was too much. I took a year off. I did not draw in 2020 at all. Like, I just needed to not do a thing because it was just a lot. And we were trying to figure out how to homeschool. And there were other things, and it was one thing too many. And understanding that and not being too like punishing to myself because of that we're just getting through like everybody else, and that's what we're doing, and that's the priority. And understanding myself enough to go, it's okay. We'll pick something up next year. And I did. And I started creating and drawing in 2021. So it's okay to take time off. You're still an artist, you're still creating, you're still working towards your art, even if you're just thinking about it, even if you're not thinking about anything at all. Like, rest. The greatest athletes in the world really rest when they rest. So I consider that with artists and creating, that when you go to rest, you need to rest. Like, just take the time that you need for yourself. It's very, very important that we treat ourselves well and not keep pushing when there shouldn't be any pushing. There should just be rest and recuperation and a mental break. If it's mental, if it's physical, There's a lot of injuries that can happen to artists. Carpal tunnel, arthritis, lots of things with the hands. Obviously, eyesight can be important. So making sure that you keep regular optometrist appointments for your health, for screenings and things. And that way you're not straining your eyes. Your eyes need to last you your whole life. There is a lot of drawing folks can do that for visually impaired. There's lots of like color matching tools and different things. Pantone offers quite a few for color blindness and stuff like that. So there are solutions. They may be costly. Sometimes it's like that, and it's unfortunate that people get priced out of stuff like that. But we're all just trying to do our best, and I think sometimes that creators are really hard on themselves unnecessarily, and sort of going online and seeing what everybody else is doing all the time doesn't help. It definitely tears down the mood and doesn't make it any better. It makes it worse. It looks like I'm drawing a spider, and I apologize for that. That is not my intent. I don't really draw arachnids ever. So someday maybe, but today's not that day, and tomorrow's not looking good either. So as you move forward with drawing and creating and checking in with yourself and figuring out what your triggers are. If every March you start to feel like you need a break, like if you start having a block every March, there could be something to that. I need to decide, okay, if that's coming, I'm turning my camera off real quick. Hold on. Sorry about that. Shout out to our first responders. They are first. They are doing well. We appreciate you. Again, I record these on the weekends, so I cannot control the noise and people out and about and vehicles and stuff, and I apologize for that, but we're all just doing our best with the time we have available. So I'm working on the mustache, but it's a lot of negative space here. So as we get into the summer, I am in the northern hemisphere. Some of you may be into fall and gearing up towards some of the longer, cooler months. Keep notes. You can keep notes in your sketchbook, keep notes in your notebooks. Start writing things down, start typing things out. Maybe use social network. So if you are on Instagram, start posting some things you can make notes with your illustration. Supplies used, subject matter, how long it took to create, and then it's currently the 16th day of March 2024. Mood when creating, pretty happy. This is why. You can put some things digitally with what you're doing. I'm trying to make sure this is a little uniform and, you know, symmetrical a little bit. You can put notes with your stuff anywhere you think to look. Starting a blog is free, and it doesn't have to be, not everything has to be for everybody else. You can have a private Instagram account that is just you documenting what's going on with you as you create and what your art looks like, because art does go through different periods and different things. Like Picasso's kind of known for his blue period, where he created stuff in lots of blues. Like, that's a legit thing. So start looking at your art. Maybe you gravitate towards different mediums certain times of the year. If you're like me and watercolors take forever to dry, it can be more gratifying to do that in the warmer months. It could be surfaces you create on. It could be subject matter you choose to draw and create. There's so many things that go into why you're drawing and creating the way you are. Maybe you go through an abstraction with your art a little bit more heavily when you're overwhelmed or have a lot on your mind. And maybe you keep realism for when everything's going wonderfully and you have more time to dedicate to that and just sort of lose yourself in the art. Like, it's good to know these things, so when something stressful does pop up, you have some resources and tools already saved for yourself to know, like, hey, oh, things are about ready to get super busy with work or school. I'm going to create this now because I know I'm not going to have time later, or I'm going to save this subject matter for a different time. I'm just not going to get into this challenge because I just know that I won't be able to finish it, and then I will feel bad about it, and feeling bad about it isn't going to make me want to do more of it later. So things like that can really, really assist your mental health when creating. Remember, comparison is the thief of joy. So if you're looking at somebody else's stuff going, dang, how come they're able to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm doing that too, and I can't even do this, that, and the other. Their life is different. Their journey is different. You would never do that to your friends. You would never compare your friends against each other because they're completely different people. So do not compare yourself to somebody else like that. You just don't know everything going on behind the scenes with their life and their journey and what they're doing. So figure out your mood. Figure out how to quantitate it, how to analyze it, and maybe you just color block. Maybe you just have a sketchbook where you do one little swatch in color. That's the color of your mood. Maybe you have a key for that explains this color means this color means this, and it's private to you. And that's how you document your mood over the years, and then see and correlate that with your subject matter, with your sketchbooks, with the quantity you create, with the styles you create. So the next time you feel burned out, or you feel blocked, or you feel overwhelmed, you can lean in and go, you know, I really like abstract when I'm stressed. Let's do some abstraction, and lean into it, and then feel good about it, and feel like, you know, I did something today, something I enjoy, and I was able to predict this was the best thing for me. And having that uplifting moment will keep you creating more. It'll just keep it going. It'll keep the success going. It'll keep the process going. It'll keep you from getting bogged down later. All this stuff helps. All of it. And there's so much to it with psychology and the brain and mental health. And maybe it's just watching the news. Maybe watching the news takes your progress. I can't a lot of the time. I just kind of turn it off. You know, figuring out what helps and how you feel after you watch something and analyzing that can really be helpful. You know, if you're reading really stressful books, maybe that's not helping your art. There's just different things to look at and examine, because mood is such a powerful factor when it comes to creating and drawing and expressing yourself, you know. and maybe you don't draw, maybe you sculpt, or you're a seamstress, or whatever your creation is within the art, you know, and maybe you dance, what that looks like with certain moods and the music you choose to listen to. Music is a really, really good sort of thing to have in your life when you are drawing and creating, to sort of enhance your mood, to lean into moods. So if you have some favorite music, some favorite musicians, crank it up, sing along, and start drawing while you're listening and doing all that. I highly recommend it. It comes highly recommended by me. I will listen to a song on repeat for over and over and over for the day. For an hour. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes it's the song and it's what it evokes, and I'll just lean into it. You can have playlists on YouTube. You can create a free YouTube account. You don't have to have like a channel where you upload stuff, but you can create a music playlist of all your favorite songs if you only like one song from, you know, every artist you enjoy. Sometimes it's like that. It's not the whole album. And in doing so, can you see the mustache? And in doing so, you can kind of lean in to where you're at and uplift yourself a little bit. Sometimes audiobooks, you know. There are some great comedians who have written some hilarious books. If you can get them from your local library, or I don't know how Audible works. I assume it's a fortune because I've never signed up for it. Plus, I don't do sponsorships because I'm not interested, but there are things, if your library system isn't like ours, or it's a little more antiquated and you don't have access to audiobooks, I think there are some deals that sometimes different agencies and Amazon hands out for different things. So check into those, see what you can finagle, and listen to some great books. You know, some classics, things that make you think while you draw. Could inspire a whole set of ideas and inspiration for drawing challenges, for art to put in a gallery, for gifts for the holiday, like whatever you're working on, whatever you're doing. There's so many ways to engage that and keep productive through your mood and adhering to some of the goals you've set for yourself long term for the year or the month. But understanding how you're feeling and understanding how that affects your mood and your place and where you're at shapes and changes your art. Like everything. It's so powerful, and it's just not talked about enough, I don't think. So I've been talking about it. I hope you get some ideas from some of this. You can kind of see what I'm doing, sort of. He's a funny looking feller. Okay. I like him. I would definitely ask to hold him if there was a zookeeper that was like, hey, who wants to hold this tamarin? I'd be like, me please. Yes, please. All the holding. Though, this is the emperor tamarin. There are some other like lemurs and langurs and monkey, bonobo, gibbon, gorilla, macaw things. They're just, I love them all. They're adorable. Okay, I hope this video helped. I hope it inspired you to sort of make notes or come up with some things that you can chart or identify or set aside that really help you lean into where you're at with your art so you can keep going, expanding, and increase like productivity, increase the level you're at. If you want to get to that next level in your art and become even stronger as an artist, these are all factors to consider. So I hope your week is absolutely wonderful, and I will talk to you later. Bye.